Welcome to another installment of Conrad's Car Clinic, a look into the mechanical side of all things automotive on In Wheel Time. Here's Conrad DeLong.
For Conrad's Car Clinic, which we, for some reason, we just haven't been able to get to because we've been on these remotes forever and ever. Are we going to be in the studio here next week, too?
Yes, sir.
We are, okay.
Yes.
It's nice to be home.
Well, you know, it all kind of runs together after a while. You've been gone for so long.
I think we're going to get spring tour T-shirts next year because that way we can go kind of like the rockers do on all their concert tours.
Well, you know, had I known ahead of time, which I didn't know, we would actually have been out at Tailpipes and Tacos, Stan Holt's event out at the Lupi Tortilla in Katy today.
Yeah,
but hopefully, yeah, now. And so,
food?
Yeah.
And cars.
And what about it? Let's have some.
That's right.
Yeah, exactly. So hopefully next month we'll get that all ironed out and be there for that because it's going to be a once-a-month event for a while. All right. Conrad's Car Clinic, what are we talking about this week?
Well, you know, we've over the last number of events we've been to, there's been a lot of conversation about barn finds. You know, that Shelby GT350 we saw down at the Mustang event at Lone Star Flight Museum. What a cool car. And the guy hadn't even started the car yet, and talking to him and kind of getting some information, doing a little research on the internet, you know, when you find that barn find, it's not just a matter of walking up to the car with some starter fluid, a gallon of gas, and a jumper box just to go ahead and start the car up. You really got to be a little bit careful to make sure that you're not going to break the car further. If it hasn't been running in 40 years, there's probably a lot of things you need to do to it before you crank it over. You know, one of the things you definitely want to do to it is probably pull the spark plugs out. If you got a bore scope, take a peek inside, spray a little lubricant inside of there, make sure everything's kind of soft and ready to go, and then go get a nice breaker bar, put a breaker bar on the harmonic balancer bolt, and just see if the engine will rotate before you go hooking a starter up to it and hitting the starter, because that starter is going to put 300 or 400 foot-pounds of torque on it. And if the motor's locked up, you're either going to break the starter, you very well may break something in the motor. And if something's hydraulically locked in there, you could still bend a rod even just from cranking the starter over. And if the car is truly a barn find collectible, take care before you go and try and start the car. You know, you want to make sure it's got clean oil in it, you've lubricated the cylinder walls, that the air induction system's nice and clean, that you're not going to start it up and suck a rat's nest down the carburetor. You know, I say that laughingly, but it's really something you got to be
that'd be something Don Armstrong would wind up doing.
You know, make sure it's got clean coolant in it. There aren't any significant leaks. A lot of things with barn finds, you have to be very cautious about the rubber hoses that are on it, especially cars from the 60s or 70s and earlier. The rubber they used back then would deteriorate over time. So you wouldn't want to get the car to all of a sudden start and then now the fuel pump spraying gasoline under the hood, and then you have a thermal event going on.
A thermal event. Let me write that down. I can use that somewhere along the line.
So again,
sure.
the key thing for a car that's had been long dormant and hasn't been started is do your visual inspections, do your fluid inspections, put a breaker bar on the harmonic balancer just to see if the engine will rotate over. And then before you actually try and start it, if everything works right and you've done your basic grounds to it, disconnect the ignition system and start it over with the starter without letting it light up and ignite. You know, just make sure everything
kind of roll
rotates.
it over
and make sure everything
up.
rotates freely. While you're doing that, it's going to build a little oil pressure as well. So, you know.
So I've heard about this stuff. I really don't know too much about it. I'm wondering, I would like to think of it as some sort of magic oil. Maybe you could put some CBD oil in it.
It would be painless.
What?
Chink.
CBD oil.
And you might kind of forget about some of the things that are going on.
And, yeah, we'd have lots of snacks after that, no doubt. I don't know anything about it, but I just say
You read it somewhere.
Somewhere.
You know,
I had somebody tell me this week, you really should try that CBD oil. Well, what is it? No, I think I'm good. I'm good.
Didn't you say you started taking Prevagen and now your dreams are more vivid? You're remembering stuff you wish you
There are no dreams, but I'm remembering stuff that I really don't want to remember. It's true.
So it works.
Long-term memory is what I'm affected by.
So add the CBD oil and the Prevagen.
Yeah, I know.
And then you forget what the hell you're doing.
and a really big bag of Cheetos, and you'll be good.
Oh, my God.
You remember that you forgot you went to Woodstock.
That's right. I was there. Wasn't I? Something like that.
Conrad's Car Clinic is a copyrighted presentation of In Wheel Time.